Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Meg Reed here, and I'm back again with yet another toy review for you guys. So please do excuse the somewhat awful lighting, at least from the camera lens. The lighting is awful, but and the reason why my other light that's above the camera view isn't on right now is because I'll probably make it worse. So for those who are quickly wondering, why isn't the normal lighting on? Because, as I said, that'll make the lighting that much worse. But anyway, bear with the lighting. We got another toy review for you guys. Today we will be taking a look at, well, bam, this is Beyblade Burst Rise Command Dragon D5. Now this is Hasbro's adaptation of Imperial Dragon from Takara Tomy. I have a lot of issues with this guy. I just do. But the pluses that he does have are fairly positive, but there's a lot of negatives with this guy, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. So here we have the Beyblade Burst Rise logo right there, Command Dragon, and I believe he's bursting a Viper Hydrax, yeah, but for some reason he has Extend Plus instead of his normal driver coil. Very, very strange. But you can see a full art of him. Now, quickly, if I can actually get to the back of the little thing, I'm going to spin it around. So there we go. On the back of the box, we do have, if I can actually stop the turntable. It's not, no, come on. Come on. There we go. Come on. Come on. Go a little bit. There we go. Anyway, sorry for that, guys. Still getting used to the turntable. But anyway, back of the box shows Beyblade Burst Rise right there. Command Dragon D5. We do have the spins right. We have with the chip, we do have the layer base, which is command, it's attack type, and then we have the driver that says fused right there because it actually has the disc and driver fused together, and that is ignition. And that's another point of contention with most people, including myself, with this release. But anyway, Hypersphere right here, we have the the runtime and the speed, the amount it will actually go around the banks of the different stadiums. So we have 2 for that and 4 for that. Again, don't read the stats on these because, as I keep telling you guys, it's rubbish. But with that out of the way, let's get right into the product itself. Starting with, of course, the chip. If I can actually get it out of here, which I can't remember how. There we go. Get the chip out, which is Dragon 2. So this is where the names start to get a little funky, at least in terms of the later GT releases. So this is the same thing as Dragon, except now it's just 2 and it's heavily redesigned. This is another thing that now I'm going to say this like I do for most Hasbro Beyblades. The lack of detail on this is disgusting. There's barely any detail on this thing. Like, there's supposed to be details all over this. There's supposed to be details here, details over here, on the dragon head over here, details everywhere. I mean, there's so little detail you can barely make out what's actually on it. Like, come on, Hasbro. Like, you guys can do better than that. But thankfully, Hasbro, from what I've heard of in terms of rumors, I've heard that there is going to be a Pro Series Command Dragon, which of course has gotten everybody crazy because of the bombastic, just over-the-top gimmicks this Beyblade has. At least in my opinion it does anyway. But there we go. So there is Dragon 2. Now for comparison, let's bring in Dragon 1, or just Dragon, the original from the Ace, Rock, and Imperial forms, which I will compare it to in a moment here. So here we have the 2 dragon ships together. So you can see they are somewhat different. Obviously one's more stylized than the other, but still Dragon 2 is quite nice. And thankfully they have done a slew of recolors of Dragon 2 already. So this is my first version, and for the toy line itself, this was the first take on Dragon 2 that they had, which is of course the one that looks like the anime, but you know. There you go. So there is Dragon 2. Next is the base, layer base, which is again another part where we have some problems. This is Command / Imperial, and there's a multitude of issues with this piece. First and foremost, the awesome and interesting gimmick is completely gone. Let me explain. So with the original release of Command, or Imperial in Japan, with the original release of Imperial, I'm just going to call it that for the rest of this bit, but Imperial the gimmick with it is that when you battled with it, there was this multi-spring sort of rubber locking system that when you battle with it, these little parts on the base would shift, changing it and making it evolve into stronger and stronger forms. So the first form would start out kind of, well, not like this. This is actually molded in the fully unlocked form, but basically it would start off looking very, very round, not very powerful, just sort of basic. But the more you battle with it, these little pieces here will actually start shifting, which will put it into its bound mode. Basically, it will function similar to God Valkyrie's bound attack to essentially have a spring-loaded little attack gimmick to it. So it would rebound the attack back to the opposing Beyblade. And the more it battled, these parts would start shifting, snapping into place, sort of locking, and then these parts would stop doing the spring-loaded thing and lock it all the way back, or forward actually, and these would lock all the way forward as well, or back, or however direction these go. And then it will become the fully unlocked form. I forget what it's specifically called, but essentially this is what it's molded in, and that would be its full attack power. So it has all the rubber, all of the metal, and yes, it did have metal. The metal would actually be right here on the Japanese release. And that's what made it so interesting, Command, because at the time, we hadn't had anything like this for Beyblade Burst. Yeah, we've had similar gimmicks, but nothing like this where it sort of changes and evolves the more you battle with it and use it, in battles. That's actually pretty interesting, as, again, it does that in the anime as well. So, pretty cool. Unfortunately, Hasbro stripped that gimmick entirely, but we kind of expected that, and thus Command is kind of garbage for Hasbro. Yeah, it looks nice. It actually has some of the detail on there, which I gotta give them credit where it's due. They actually put detail on that. I'm sad to say that that's actually a standard for Hasbro right now, as back in 2017, they used to do detail for everything. Now they barely put detail on anything, and it's like, really? But anyway, so that's pretty much that for Command. That, and it's very, very hollow, so it's very, very light as well, unlike Takara's, which is solid all around. So, say what you will about this, but still, for what it's worth, Command Dragon for Hasbro, not bad looking. Again, the Pro Series one should be a lot better because it's going to have that gimmick. But that is only scratching the surface. There's another gimmick that makes Command Dragon that much better, and I'm going to talk about that right now, that of course Hasbro stripped. And that is with the driver. The driver is called Ignition, or IG, and it was a dash driver in its original release. Obviously, Hasbro didn't do that. And the gimmick with this that made it so special is that it was one of the first electronic drivers. Let me explain. So, in the Japanese release, there were button cell batteries you could put inside of the driver on the Japanese release. And when you switched it on, it would have this motorized gimmick to it. So what it would do is that when you first launch it, the motor inside will spin up and rotate, depending on how fast it's moving, of course, depending on how hard you launch it. And it would start moving left or right, randomly. It's randomly chosen by the built-in computer. It will either go left or it can go right. But then, all of a sudden, in the middle of battle, it will change from moving left, and it will reverse the motor, either right or left, to make it spin the opposite way. This created a very interesting attack pattern, and actually really helped with Imperial Dragon's attack, as the thing was quite heavy and was somewhat unbalanced. So the motor actually somewhat counteracted this unbalanced nature to the Beyblade. Of course, for Hasbro, they nerfed that entirely. They just made it one solid piece, somewhat made it look like the actual Ignition driver for Takara, and they also did the thing there, which is kind of silly that they referenced the electric and the sort of speeding up and rotating thing when it doesn't do that. So, thanks Hasbro for that. But once you put the whole bay together, which is only 2 parts, there you have Command or Imperial Dragon for Hasbro. Again, very, very nice looking, at least for Hasbro standards, and especially for modern Hasbro standards, I should say. But in terms of the accuracy and the gimmicks, yeah, this thing is very, very much lacking. So now for comparison, let's bring in Ace Dragon, and we're going to start rotating the turntable. So as you guys can see, oh god, oh, he's wobbling all over the place. Ace Dragon is quite a bit smaller than Imperial Dragon. So you guys can, there we go, that actually kind of works. So you guys can see how the two actually look together. Quite different. Indeed. Okay, I have no idea why these are flopping all over the place. My apologies, guys. I had no idea they were going to move this much. But, there we go. Now for the next comparison, let's bring in the second form of Ace Dragon, Rock Dragon. And so you guys can see how those two look. And again, very obvious differences, one of which being he's obviously Rock Dragon's defense, and Command or Imperial is attack. Obviously the parts are much more different with the Sting and Charge drivers. Driver, I should say, on it compared to Ignition on the on Command Imperial, and anything else to really mention. And obviously the gimmicks are different, and yeah, that's really all I gotta say about that. So there you go. So there was that, and now let's bring in Grand Dragon for comparison. Now, I was originally going to compare this to my original green Ace Dragon that I got way back on my, I think it was my 18th or 19th birthday, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was my 18th I got it. And I decided against it just because it's literally just the same thing. But still, you can see right there the differences are noticeable, and I should probably slow down the turntable because they're wobbling all over the darn place. So give me a second while I actually slow down the rate of the rotation. How do I do that? No, that's not it. Yeah, that's much better. That's much better. Okay, let me just stop the turntable now. Let me move you back over here. And now let's do some just miscellaneous base a little bit. So let's do Slash or Sword Valkyrie for comparison right here. So you can see the size between the... Oh god, even when it's going slower, they still move around. But you guys can still get the idea of just how big Command Dragon actually is. He's a pretty big boy. And also something else I should mention, I've got to mention when discussing the chip, is that the slopes are considerably weak. Not too weak, but they are weak. So that's something to note, is that when you're battling with it, don't be surprised if it bursts left and right, because, yeah, they decided to make the slopes weak on this one. Thanks, Hasbro! But thankfully with the Pro Series, that should fix it. And for comparison here, I'm bringing in, what's his name right now? Regalia Genesis, or Royal Genesis, if you're Hasbro. So, there you go. So, the two actually look very much alike. And it's kind of interesting that these two are together because it's actually good and evil, the main two protagonists and antagonists of the GT series. So, that's pretty cool. And then lastly, let's bring in the true finale of Beyblade Burst GT. And that was this Command Dragon here versus Big Bang or Eclipse Genesis. So here we have good and evil, light and dark, right next to each other. And let me tell you, these two look beautiful together. They perfectly represent good and evil. And of course, Command Dragon is just so beefy. Sucks that he's so hollow though, but still. But still, with that being said, there's still decent Beyblades for Hasbro. But again, the Pro Series one that's been rumored, if it comes out, should fix all the problems that this original version had. But with that all being said, that is going to be it for today's video on Beyblade Burst Rise / GT Command Dragon or Imperial Dragon D5. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, and ring that notification bell so that way you guys get notified for all my uploads. Later, Reed Squad, and have a good one.